Dawn breaks over the vast savanna. A thin mist hangs over the grass, a sign of the coming heat. Reth awakens in the temporary shelter. He rubs his eyes, his face already etched with the anxieties of the day. Kael inspects an empty water skin. He squeezes it forcefully, but not a single drop emerges. Disappointment clouds his face. A woman tries to wring the last drops of dew from a large leaf. The yield is meager, almost nothing. Other hunters check the nearby watering hole. Now just a bed of mud. They scrape at it in vain. A close-up on a hunter's chapped lips. He swallows with difficulty, the feeling of thirst palpable. Reth steps out of his shelter, his gaze sweeping across the camp.
We need
He
to find
sees the
water.
tired, anxious faces of his tribe. He touches an empty leather flask hanging outside his shelter, feeling its unnerving weirdness. Kael approaches Reth. They exchange a worried, silent glance.
I got some grey.
Kael points to his own empty water skin. Reth nods, signaling Kael to gather the other hunters. His expression is firm, but heavy with pressure. Kael begins to rally the male hunters. He waves his hand and points toward their leader, Reth. The hunters, sharpening their stone tools, pause their work. They look towards Kael and Reth with grave expressions. A wide shot shows the tribe gathering. Reth stands at the center, surrounded by Kael and the hunters. Reth uses a stick to point towards the distant savanna, signaling the beginning of a desperate search. Kael nods in confirmation. He looks into each hunter's eyes, conveying a silent determination. A woman hands Kael a small leather flask with the last few sips of water, her eyes full of hope. Kael accepts it with a reassuring nod. He secures the precious flask to his belt. The hunting party, led by Kael, departs from the camp. They carry their spears and stone tools. Reth watches them go. He turns back, his gaze heavy as he looks upon the women and elders left behind.
Go.
Reth signals for the
Search
women
for
to
water.
begin searching the immediate area while the hunters are away. Kael's group moves through a field of tall grass. They walk slowly, cautiously, their eyes scanning everything. Kael stoops down, examining a small impression in the dirt. A close-up reveals the track of a large animal. He touches the track, feeling the moisture in the soil. He looks up and points forward with conviction. 3 other hunters bend down to examine the track as well. They nod in confirmation. The focused face of a young hunter as he traces the tracks on the ground, learning from his leader. Kael shields his eyes from the sun, looking towards the horizon, following the direction of the tracks. A hunter discovers fresh dung from a mammoth. He cautiously reaches out to touch it. Kael approaches and examines the dung. He sniffs it, then signals for the group to follow this new sign. The hunters move faster now, following a faint trail created by large animals through the savanna. A high-angle shot shows Kael's group as tiny dots in the vast, unforgiving landscape. An antelope drinks from a small puddle. Kael and his group hide in the bushes, observing from a distance. Kael signals for the group to halt. He carefully studies the antelope's behavior. A close-up on Kael's face, his sharp eyes scanning the puddle and the surrounding area for any danger. The antelope suddenly lifts its head, alert, before turning and disappearing into the woods. Kael signals for the group to advance cautiously. They approach the water source. The puddle turns out to be a small, muddy bog. The water is murky and undrinkable. Kael shakes his head in disappointment. He stirs the mud with his foot. Another hunter looks on with a crestfallen expression.
Oh, this is useless.
Kael sighs, then points in a different direction, urging the group to continue their search. Back at the camp, Reth and the women are examining various types of bushes and plants. An elderly woman points to a plant with thick, succulent leaves, a potential source of moisture. Reth leans down, touching a leaf, feeling its freshness. He looks up, a thoughtful expression on his face. A close-up on the woman's weathered hands as she carefully pulls a small plant from the ground. Reth and the women begin to dig at the base of the plant, using sticks and small stones. The ground beneath the grass is dry and hard. They struggle to dig deeper, their efforts yielding little. One of them pulls up a tuber. They break it in half. There is some moisture, but it's not enough. Reth shakes his head. He signals for them to continue searching for other types of plants. The women spread out again, examining bushes and the topsoil for any sign of water. A woman sniffs a wild flower, then inspects the surrounding leaves for any dew or moisture. Reth uses a flat stone to scrape away the surface of the soil at another spot. A puff of dust rises from the ground. Beneath it, there is only more dry earth. The search is fruitless. Back with Kael's group. They are crossing a small, dried-up creek bed, filled only with pebbles. Kael looks at the dry creek with frustration. He kicks a loose stone with his foot. A hunter looks up at the sky. The sun is high and harsh. He wipes the sweat from his brow. A single drop of sweat rolls down Kael's temple, a stark reminder of their own dwindling water. He takes out his water skin and tilts it. Only a few drops remain. He drinks them slowly. A young hunter looks at Kael's flask with longing. Kael notices and shares a single precious drop. The group rests in the meager shade of a stunted tree. Their faces are etched with exhaustion and despair. Kael rises to his feet, surveying the landscape. His persistence remains, though his hope is fading. He points towards a distant rocky hill, signaling for the group to press on. The journey continues, their steps heavier now, weighed down by thirst and disappointment. A woman digging at the camp hits a hard rock with her stone tool. The sound is dull and final. She sighs and drops her tool. Reth watches, the tension clearly visible on his own face. Reth approaches and places a comforting hand on her shoulder. His gesture speaks of shared struggle. He looks up at the cloudless, blue sky. The sun beats down relentlessly. He turns back to the other women. They are also tired and thirsty, their energy waning. A woman points to a dwarf palm tree with red berries. Reth nods, signaling her to test it. She picks a berry and bites into it. Her face puckers from the bitter taste. She shakes her head. A close-up on Reth's face. His eyes reflect an extreme level of concern for his people. He touches his own water skin. It is completely empty. The situation is now critical. Reth signals for the women to return closer to the camp to conserve their remaining energy. A wide, sweeping shot of the Savanna reveals a vast, waterless expanse under the harsh sun. Kael's group is climbing a gentle slope. They are panting, their movements slowed by fatigue. A hunter slips on loose gravel. Kael reaches out and catches him just in time.
You are safe.
Kael stands on the crest of the hill, his eyes scanning the entire panorama before him. Suddenly, he freezes. His eyes narrow, focusing intently on something in the distance. The camera slowly follows Kael's gaze towards a large herd of gazelles moving with urgency. The herd is running fast, kicking up dust behind them. They are all moving in a specific direction. Kael turns back to his group, signaling excitedly. He points decisively towards the fleeing herd. The other hunters see the herd as well, their expressions transforming from despair to a flicker of hope.
Oh, whoa!
Kael signals for the group to follow the animals, keeping a safe distance so as not to spook them. Elsewhere, near the camp, a young woman examines a small, dry mud puddle. She crouches and touches the ground. She notices the soil beneath the surface is damper than usual. Her hand digs a little deeper, revealing dark, moist earth underneath the dry crust. She lets out a silent cheer, turning to wave frantically at Reth, calling him over. Reth walks over to her and crouches to inspect the spot. He touches the damp soil himself. Reth's eyes light up with an idea. He looks around and sees greener plants growing nearby. He uses his spear to mark the damp spot, then signals for the other women to come.
Come to me.
The women gather at the marked spot and begin to dig with their tools and bare hands. A woman uses a sharp-edged rock to scrape away the top layer of soil, working methodically. The patch of damp earth begins to widen as they dig, revealing more moisture. Kael's group is trailing the herd of gazelles. They move stealthily, using bushes for cover. The herd stops in a small valley and begins to drink from an underground spring. Kael sees the flowing water. His eyes ignite with hope and immense joy. He turns back and signals to his group. No words are spoken, but everyone understands. A young hunter lets out a sigh of relief, a faint smile appearing on his lips. Kael decides not to approach the spring directly to avoid disturbing the animals. He will find another spot. He points towards another area in the valley where the vegetation is much more lush and green. Kael's group moves to that area and begins to test the ground for signs of water. Kael uses his spear to dig a test hole. The soil is softer here and much damper. He digs deeper, another hunter joining in to help him, their hope renewed. Reth and the women are digging a deeper hole now. Sweat drips from their foreheads as they work. The soil at the bottom of the hole darkens, becoming wet and heavy. A woman lets out a small gasp of joy as she sees the first drops of water seeping from the side of the hole. Reth leans down, touching the water droplet. He looks up, his face filled with profound emotion. The other women gather around, looking into the hole with joyful and relieved expressions. Reth signals for them to dig wider and deeper, being careful not to mix mud with the precious water. They use flat stones and their hands to scoop out the earth. Water begins to collect faster at the bottom. At Kael's location, he has dug a deeper hole. Water is now seeping up from the bottom. Kael scoops up a little water with his finger and tastes it. He nods with deep satisfaction. He turns back, a slight smile on his face as he looks at the hunters. They all let out silent cheers of joy.
We did it!
They begin to drink directly from the hole, taking large gulps to quench their desperate thirst. A close-up of a hunter slurping water. It runs down his chin as he drinks with abandon. They take out their leather flasks and begin to fill them with clean, fresh water. Kael claps a young hunter on the shoulder, his eyes filled with pride and relief. Kael's group quickly fills all of their water containers, securing the life-giving resource. Kael signals for the group to return to the camp to bring back the good news. Reth and the women now have a small but usable well. They are drinking and collecting the water. A woman gently pats Reth's arm and points to the well, expressing her deep gratitude. Reth nods, looking at the water source with a relieved and thoughtful expression. He signals for them to return to camp, leaving one person behind to guard their new well. Reth and the women return to the main camp, carrying the full water containers. The elders and other members of the tribe cheer silently when they see the water. An elder reaches out with a trembling hand to receive a flask. He takes a long, deep drink. Reth nods, signaling for everyone to use the water sparingly until more can be secured. Suddenly, from the distance, Kael's group appears, also carrying full water flasks. Cheers ripple through the camp. Kael holds up a water skin triumphantly. Kael and Reth meet in the center of the camp. They look at each other with mutual pride and understanding. Kael places a hand on Reth's shoulder, then points in the direction where he found the larger water source. Reth nods, looking impressed and pleased with Kael's success.
This way, yes.
He understands the significance of this discovery. Together, they examine a crude map on the ground, comparing the locations of the two water sources. Reth points to Kael's water source on the map, signaling that it is larger and further away. Kael nods. He indicates that this new source is abundant enough to sustain the entire tribe. A close-up on Reth's face shows his deep trust in Kael. A decision has been made. Reth signals for the entire tribe to move to the larger water source that Kael discovered. The people begin to pack their few personal belongings, preparing to relocate their camp. A woman carefully rolls up her animal hide bedding, her movements efficient and practiced. The hunters gather their tools and weapons, ready for the journey to their new home. Reth and Kael lead the way, guiding the tribe across the Savanna once more. The tribe moves across the plain, bathed in the soft light of the setting sun.
Water!
A wide shot shows the tribe as a long single line, marching towards the horizon and a new beginning. They arrive at the underground spring Kael found. The water runs clear and cool over the rocks.
We found it.
The people cheer and run towards the bank of the spring, their thirst and hardship momentarily forgotten. Reth crouches down, scooping water with his hands. He drinks slowly, savoring every life-giving drop. A woman washes her face with the cool water, her expression instantly refreshed and revitalized. Kael watches from a distance. A small smile plays on his lips as he sees the tribe's relief. The hunters begin to fill larger containers with water, preparing for the days ahead. Some members of the tribe bathe their tired feet in the cool, flowing stream. Reth signals for the able-bodied members to begin setting up a temporary camp near the water source. They work together, erecting shelters and arranging their belongings with renewed energy. Reth looks at Kael with a nod of gratitude. Kael nods back in acknowledgement. Reth claps Kael on the shoulder, a powerful gesture of recognition and respect. Together they walk along the spring, assessing the potential of their new water source. Reth points to a spot on the bank, indicating that they could build a more permanent well there. Kael nods, already beginning to think about the plan for its construction. A close-up of the clear water flowing over smooth stones, a symbol of life and purity. A flock of birds drinks from the stream's edge, unafraid, a sign that this place is safe. The sun sets, painting the sky and the stream in hues of pink and orange. The tribe sits around a new campfire, enjoying a simple meal in their new home. A woman drinks from her water skin, her face peaceful in the warm glow of the fire. Reth and Kael sit side by side, watching the fire. They exchange a look of deep contentment. Kael points up at the starry sky, then down at the stream, expressing a profound gratitude for nature's gift. Reth nods in agreement, his expression softening in the firelight. The weight of leadership feels lighter tonight. A rare smile touches Reth's lips. It is a smile of deep reassurance and peace. A group of people are humming a gentle, wordless tune by the campfire, a sound of pure joy. The camera pans across the faces of the tribe, each one showing relief and contentment. Kael gets up and walks the perimeter of the new camp, checking the area for any tracks or signs of danger. He inspects a small trap set nearby, a precaution against predators of the night. Reth remains by the fire, watching over his people, feeling a moment of temporary peace. The flickering firelight is reflected in Reth's eyes, revealing a quiet stillness after a long, arduous day. He turns his head to watch Kael on patrol, a look of complete trust in his gaze. Kael looks back at Reth and gives a slight nod, signaling that all is well. A wide shot shows the tribe sleeping peacefully under the starry sky, beside the life-giving stream. The gentle sound of the flowing water provides a soothing soundtrack to their rest. The next morning, the sun rises, illuminating the clear, flowing stream. A woman is filling her flask with water, her face bright and refreshed. Reth and Kael stand by the stream's edge, looking out towards the Savanna, planning their next move. Reth points to a more fertile area of land near the stream, indicating their next search will be for food. Kael nods in understanding. He pats the spear at his side, ready for the next challenge. A small stream of water flows over Reth's fingers. He feels its coolness, its life. A wide shot shows the tribe resuming their normal activities by the new stream, a symbol of their renewed life. A group of women are washing edible roots in the stream, preparing their food. A hunter is sharpening his spearhead on a rock by the water's edge. Kael smiles as he watches a young hunter joyfully scoop up water to drink. Reth looks over his tribe members. He takes a deep breath, feeling the fresh air. He walks to a flat rock and places his hand upon it, watching the flowing stream. Kael joins him. They stand side by side, watching in silence. Reth and Kael, their eyes fixed on the horizon, contemplating the future of their tribe. A gentle breeze blows past, rustling the leaves and their hair. Reth closes his eyes for a moment, feeling a sense of security and peace. He opens them and looks at Kael. Kael looks back, his gaze steady and resolute. They nod to each other, a silent promise to ensure the tribe's survival, no matter the cost. The camera slowly pulls back, revealing the tribe settling into their new life by the water. The image shows the temporary shelters they have erected, a small but thriving community. A woman gently pats a full water skin, as if it were a precious treasure. A close-up of the water, continuing its endless, life-sustaining flow. Reth and Kael walk into the nearby woods together, preparing for their next task. They communicate with gestures, Reth pointing towards a tall, fruit-bearing tree. Reth holds a stone knife, looking ahead with determination. The search for food has begun. A final shot of the tribe, peaceful but always ready to face the next challenge. The camera soars high above, showing the small tribe in the vast savanna by their stream under a clear blue sky. Dawn breaks over the vast savanna. The gentle orange-yellow light begins to stretch across the space. Close up on dewdrops clinging to a withered leaf, sparkling in the first rays of morning sun. A wide shot from above shows the tribe's makeshift camp, simple structures of wood and hide. A woman stirs and awakens inside her shelter. She rubs her eyes, yawning, her chapped lips revealing fatigue. A male hunter opens his eyes, his gaze tired and distant. He struggles to sit up, his movements heavy. Another woman slowly brings a hand to her throat, swallowing with difficulty, her face wincing from thirst. A wide shot shows a small group of tribe members moving slowly around the camp, lacking their usual energy. Reth, with a look of heavy contemplation, walks to a large rock hollow used as a communal water basin. A close-up of Reth's hand, slowly reaching into the water basin. His fingers touch the bottom. At the bottom of the basin, only a few drops of murky water remain. His hand stops, unable to scoop anything. Reth slowly withdraws his hand, only a few damp spots on his paw. He stares at his empty hand, his face Reth looks up, holding out his empty hand in a clear gesture to the tribe, showing the severity of the water shortage. The tribe members look at Reth, their expressions shifting from weariness to alarm, understanding his silent message. Kael stands at a distance, watching Reth. His eyes narrow as he sees the chief's worried expression and gesture. Kael's gaze shifts from Reth to the dry savanna beyond. A spark of determination ignites in his eyes. Kael looks back at Reth and gives a firm nod, a silent promise that he will go in search of water. Kael walks to his gear. A close-up shows his hands meticulously checking the stone spearhead. He carefully ties a small, empty leather pouch to his waist, a vessel for the water he must find. Kael slings his hunting gear over his back. His every movement is swift and precise, the mark of a seasoned hunter. Kael stands tall, giving the camp one last, determined look. Then he turns and strides toward the vast, arid savanna. Kael leads his hunting party through the tall, withered grass. He moves at the front, eyes constantly scanning. He suddenly stops and crouches low. The camera focuses on a faint but recognizable animal track in the dirt. A close-up on Kael's face. His sharp eyes study the track. He takes a deep breath, trying to catch a scent. Kael kneels, tracing the outline of the track with a finger. He looks up in the direction it leads. He stands decisively, using a quick hand gesture to signal the find, and the new direction to his group. One of the hunters receives the signal. He gives a slight nod of trust and readies himself to follow. Kael extends his arm, pointing toward the distant horizon. The gesture is silent but powerful. The camera pans in the direction Kael is pointing, showing the endless expanse of the savanna. Kael signals for caution and a slow advance, arranging his group into a hunting formation. A high-angle shot shows the group moving with purpose across the vast landscape, tiny figures in a sea of yellow grass. A tracking shot follows the hunters from behind, showing their coordinated and steady pace. Kael moves lightly at the front, his lean body low to the ground, his eyes constantly searching for the next clue. The other hunters follow closely, watching their leader's every move, staying alert to their surroundings. Kael stops abruptly, raising a hand to halt the group. He signals for them to remain silent. He kneels again. The camera closes in on his spear tip, carefully touching a much clearer, fresher track. A close-up of the animal track reveals sharp details, showing a large animal has passed recently. Kael looks up, catches the eye of another hunter, and gives a firm nod. A faint smile shows his satisfaction. He rises, his face now filled with determined hope. He signals for the group to press on, their pace quickening. A wide shot shows the hunters walking wearily across a dry plain. Dust kicks up with every step. Kael frowns, his eyes scanning the parched horizon ahead. A sense of unease grows. The other hunters follow, their shoulders slumped with fatigue. They exchange weary glances. A high-angle shot shows the group entering a deep depression in the earth, the ground deeply cracked. They arrive at the edge of what was once a waterhole. It is now completely dry, the earth shattered like broken glass. The camera focuses on the dry basin. Deep cracks show that it has been without water for a long time. A close-up on a patch of cracked mud, its rough surface showing no signs of life. The camera pans across the withered plants surrounding the basin, all of them yellow and dead. Kael stands at the edge, his expression shifting from hope to clear disappointment as he surveys the desolate scene. He crouches, slowly touching the hard, dry mud. Fine dust clings to his fingertips. A close-up on Kael's face. His eyes show deep frustration. His jaw tightens. Kael stands up slowly, looking around as if searching for an alternative, any sign of hope. The camera follows his gaze, revealing nothing but a barren landscape, devoid of water or wildlife. Another hunter slowly shakes his head, his shoulders slumping at the feet. He looks down at the ground. A different hunter lets out a heavy sigh, his hand tightening around his spear. His face is blank with despair. The others show their dejection. One sinks to his knees. Another holds his head in his hands. Kael looks at his defeated comrades. His expression remains resolute, but a deep worry is now visible. A close-up on Kael's eyes. A flicker of determination remains, but it's shadowed by the weight of his responsibility. The entire group stands in the middle of the dry basin, surrounded by desolation. Their first hope has vanished. An extreme wide shot emphasizes their smallness in the vast, arid landscape under the relentless sun. Reth and two women arrive at the dry waterhole. Reth stops, surveying the cracked earth thoughtfully. Reth's sharp eyes narrow as he studies the ground. One hand grips his spear, the other touches his chin in calculation. He looks up at the vast blue sky, tracking the sun's path as if calculating something crucial. A woman points to a particularly dry patch of ground, looking at Reth with a questioning gaze. Reth walks slowly to the center of the dry basin. He stops, raising his spear, choosing the exact spot to begin. With a determined look, Reth drives his spear into the ground and begins to dig, a sound heavy against the dry earth. He puts his weight into it, but the ground is so hard that he can only pry up small chunks. Sweat forms on his brow. He repeats the motion, his actions deliberate, showing the strong will of a leader who refuses to give up. Kael, having watched Reth, understands. He quickly moves to grab a larger, sharper stone tool. Kael brings the tool down decisively on the spot Reth marked. The impact is stronger, breaking up larger pieces of earth. Kael digs relentlessly, each strike precise. Dust flies, showing the effectiveness of his tool and strength. Reth watches Kael dig, a look of approval and relief on his face. The other hunters and women quickly join in, using whatever they can find to help clear the hole. A montage of close-ups, rough hands clawing at dirt, stone tools striking the earth, all working in unison. A woman carefully scoops dirt out of the deepening hole, her eyes focused on the task. A high-angle shot shows the circle of people working around the hole, a picture of unity and effort. Reth stands back slightly, observing the collective effort. A faint, proud smile appears on his face. Kael is digging at the bottom of the hole. The soil here is beginning to look darker. Kael pauses, noticing a dark, damp patch of earth. He touches it, his eyes widening with hope. A tiny, clear drop of water, sparkling in the sun, slowly seeps from the soil. Kael holds his breath. Kael touches the droplet. He looks up, his face breaking into a radiant, astonished smile. The droplet becomes a trickle, slowly forming a tiny pool at the bottom of the hole. Kael looks up at Reth. Reth gives a slow nod, his expression one of cautious satisfaction. They exchange another look, a silent acknowledgement of the effort and the preciousness of this discovery. A woman brings over several large leaves, shaped like natural bowls, ready to collect the water. Kael and the woman carefully use the leaves to scoop the precious water, trying not to stir up the mud. A close-up of the clear water being collected in the leaf. Every drop is treated with the utmost care. Reth watches, his protective gaze focused on every drop being gathered, as if it were a newfound treasure. A wide shot of the savanna at dawn. The first golden rays of sun cut through the morning mist. A close-up of glistening dewdrops on a blade of grass, sparkling like tiny diamonds in the early light. A panning shot reveals dense vegetation, all covered in a heavy, shining layer of dew. A group of women moves silently through the bushes, their steps careful not to disturb the precious dewdrops. A woman gently presses a large, soft leaf against another to absorb the dew, her movements slow and meticulous. Another woman holds up a piece of hide soaked with dew, a small look of satisfaction in her eyes. A close-up of skilled hands gently wringing the dew-soaked leaf into a simple container. The simple container, perhaps a hollowed gourd, slowly fills with clear, sparkling dew. A woman straightens up after wringing a leaf, takes a breath, and then moves on to the next plant with patience. The group continues their work, spread out, each repeating the patient process of soaking and wringing. A close-up on a woman's focused face as she scans the leaves for every last drop of dew. An overhead shot shows the women as small figures in the vast vegetation, all performing the same vital task. A group of 3 women moves cautiously through a sparse forest, dappled sunlight filtering through the canopy. A woman's foot steps on dry leaves. She pauses, her expression quizzical as she stares at a plant. The group moves more slowly now, a dappled light highlighting their weathered faces and rough-hewn clothes. One woman stops abruptly. Her eyes widen in recognition, a spark of excitement on her face. Her point of view shows a succulent plant with thick leaves, clearly full of liquid. She raises her hand and points, nodding emphatically to her companions. They approach, surprised and hopeful. A close-up of another woman picking up a small, sharp stone axe, her calloused fingers gripping it tightly. She strikes the plant's stem with the axe. The sound is a dull thud. The others watch anxiously. The cut reveals the plant's white, watery flesh. A clear drop of liquid slowly seeps out, glistening. A woman quickly puts her mouth to the cut, catching the first precious drops. Her expression transforms from tension to profound relief and satisfaction. A small smile forms. She drinks the remaining liquid, then looks to her friends with hopeful eyes, inviting them to drink. From a high vantage point, Reth watches the women in the forest. A gentle breeze blows through his hair. A rare small smile appears on his weathered face as he sees them drinking, followed by a slow nod of approval. Reth turns his back to the camera, looking out over the vast savanna, a look of renewed hope for the future. A group of hunters emerges from the distance, walking slowly through the tall golden grass. They are tired but resolute, a close-up on a hunter's hand, gripping a bulging water skin. A few drops of water seep from the crude seal. A group of women returns from another direction, carefully carrying broad leaves and hollow gourds filled with water. Reth stands before the main shelter, his sharp eyes watching each group return. A nearly imperceptible nod shows his tribe's large water container. A hollowed log sits in the center of the camp. The mood is tense, but hopeful. Kael signals for a hunter to come forward. The hunter carefully pours water from his water skin into the communal vessel. A close-up of the water flowing into the large container. The water level slowly begins to rise. A woman gently pours the collected dew from a large leaf. Her movements are careful, almost ceremonial. A long line of tribe members waits patiently to add their collected water to the communal supply. Reth and Kael stand beside the fuller container. Reth places a rare hand of acknowledgement on Kael's shoulder. Kael glances at Reth, then back at the water. A faint smile touches his lips, but his eyes remain watchful. An overhead shot shows the water container, now significantly fuller, reflecting the clear blue sky. Reth turns his gaze to the vast savanna beyond the camp. He lets out a long breath, a portion of his burden lifted. A woman uses a small gourd to ladle water and gives it to an exhausted hunter. A close-up on the hunter's face as he receives the water. He drinks in small sips, his eyes closed in relief. Another woman carefully uses water to wash the dirt from her hands and face, a look of peace in her eyes. The camp is now more animated. Tribe members are drinking water, exchanging relieved glances. The tension has broken. Kael drinks from his gourd. His expression is still serious, but his eyes have softened slightly. Reth watches his people drinking. A small, rare smile touches his weathered face before he looks to the horizon again. The tribe gathers in the bright morning sun, standing in a semicircle, their attention focused. Reth steps forward, his commanding presence drawing all eyes. He pauses, his expression serious but confident. He slowly points to the containers of water they have gathered, a clear symbol of their success. Kael and the others follow Reth's gesture, their expressions a mix of relief and understanding. Reth then turns and sweeps his arm towards the vast savanna, indicating the wider world of challenges and resources. Kael and a few young hunters look out, their eyes reflecting determination and a hint of apprehension. Reth begins to mime the act of tracking, his sharp eyes scanning the imaginary ground before him. His fingers trace an invisible footprint, his movements slow and deliberate, teaching a vital skill. His focused expression conveys that tracking is not just a skill, but a key to their survival. Reth changes his movements, now miming the act of digging with his hands, or a stone tool. His hands pretend to scoop away earth, demonstrating the persistence required to find what is hidden. He straightens up, then mimes the careful gathering of plants, showing caution in his selection. His fingers pretend to pluck a leaf, bringing it to his nose, implying the need to distinguish safe from poison. He transitions to mimicking the collection of dew, gently wiping an imaginary leaf and bringing his hand to his mouth. His stern gaze sweeps over the tribe, emphasizing the importance of every skill he has just demonstrated. The tribe watches and listens in silence.
New hunting grounds.
Some nod slowly, showing that they understand the lesson. A young hunter watches
hunt the
Reth
great
intently,
beast when the
his
moon is
eyes
full.
reflecting the absorption of new, vital knowledge. A woman exchanges a look with her neighbor, a slight smile, conveying a sense of reassurance and shared understanding. Kael stands with his arms crossed, his face showing agreement and respect for Reth. He gives a subtle nod. Reth slowly turns his back on the tribe and walks towards the edge of the camp, leaving them to ponder the lesson. He stands silently at the edge of the camp, a solitary figure against the vast landscape. His face is pensive, his eyes fixed on the horizon, a faint line of worry creasing his brow. He remains there as the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the land. The camera slowly zooms out, Reth becoming a smaller and smaller figure against the vastness of nature and its endless challenges.